okay, let's get started on these 3 questions. I'm only going to give you guys 2 minutes because they're not that difficult. Okay, remember step number 1. Can somebody remind us in the chat, what is our step number 1? Anytime we come across trigonometry triangles, absolutely, Narisha, well done. Yes, Charlie, we must label. Okay, that's it, Tristan. Let's start with labeling and then let's answer the, oh my gosh, Shulani's done. Shulani, you just got here. You just got here. How are you already done? Oh my word. Sure, okay. All right. I will give everybody else one minute, okay? All right, peeps, let's have a look at these questions real quick. Okay, so these are probably easy, especially if we know exactly how we're labeling. Okay, this is our angle theta, so I know that the side right next to it, this is the adjacent side. Okay, where the 4 is over here, that's the furthest away from it. So this is my opposite side. And the side always across from a 90-degree angle, that is the hypotenuse. All right, and once we've labeled, everything else becomes super duper easy, nice and easy to do. Sine, according to Sokatoa, sine is opposite over hypotenuse. My opposite is 4 over the hypotenuse, which is 5. Nice and easy. Cos is adjacent over hypotenuse. Adjacent is 3 over hypotenuse, which is 5. And tan is opposite over adjacent. Opposite is 4 over 3. And I'm sure we've all gotten this correct. None of us have seen anything new. Nothing has sparked our interest just yet. We're all it's calm. Okay, watch Teacher Coco just complicate our lives just a little bit more today. But I know for a fact that you guys are up to the challenge. I know it for a fact. Because what I'm going to introduce today isn't actually very difficult. We just need a little bit of logical thinking. Let's start with a little bit more of a bonus question today. Okay, now I want us to look at this that we've been given over here. These are 2 triangles. They are both right-angled triangles. Can anybody tell me why Teacher Coco can already say that both of the triangles we've been given here are right-angled triangles? Anybody got an idea why? It's a pretty easy reason why, but if anybody knows, let me know. What are we thinking? Why can I say this triangle and that triangle are both right-angled? Correct, Narisha, absolutely. Okay, it's the 90-degree angle. Now, I know that both of them are on a straight line. They're on a straight line, and angles on a straight line equal 180 degrees. Now, this over here is 90 degrees, which automatically means that this side of this triangle over here also needs to be 90 degrees in order for this to hold. So both my triangles are 90-degree angles. So here's what I actually want you guys to do. I want you to tell me what this angle over here is called in terms of in terms of theta. And I want you guys to tell me what this angle over here is called in terms of alpha. Okay. Right. So does anybody have any idea where we can start this kind of question? So remember when we say in terms of, and this is not, unfortunately, it's not an elevation question, Hlulani. The elevation question would come on this side, and that angle would equal theta. But in this case, no. Not particularly this, okay, because it's part of the triangle. Okay, we want to express the other side of the triangle in terms of this side over here. So it's not exactly an angle of elevation question. Okay, anybody got an idea? Okay, I'm bringing this question up because I've seen it in a past grade 10 exam paper. And I want to make sure that we understand where we're actually going with these kinds of questions, because I can guarantee you it's going to come up, especially when you guys write the SBA, the grade 10 SBA. It's very important that we know this. Okay, no ideas? Okay, let me give you guys a hint. I'm sorry. It's not alternate angles, Tristan, because I don't have any parallel lines. Remember, I can only use alternate corresponding and co-interior if I have parallel lines. I'm going to take you guys back to primary school mathematics, and you're all going to be like, ma'am, don't even lie. How many degrees are there in any triangle? How much is the interior angles of a triangle equal to? 180, absolutely, Emmanuel. Yes, that's a Tristan and Vukosi. They're equal to 180. So bear with me here. Let's say, for instance, I'm going to call this angle over here x. Just for the sake of this exercise, I'm going to call this x. Right. Now, if I were to add up all three of these, here's what I'm going to get. I'm going to get x is equal, oh, not x is equal to, x plus theta plus the 90-degree angle over here, plus 90 degrees, all of this is equal to 180 degrees. Now, because I want my answer to be in terms of x, that means I want to do some things, and at the end, I want to have, therefore, x is equal to something, but my answer is going to have theta in it. So I want you guys to take that first equation I've given you, shift it around, and tell me x is equal to something, but my answer must have theta in it. What do we get, guys? Do a little bit of mathematical manipulation for me. Because he says 90, but there's something missing. Ah, okay. Make it into a full equation. Make it into a full sentence. You can't just say 90 theta. Not making sense. It's not make sure. Not 90 theta, guys. Not 90 theta. Remember, there's a plus in between everything. Okay? There is pluses in between everything, so make sure that you're getting it right. We've forgotten basic mathematics. All right. Okay, it's okay. It's okay. Let's have a look quickly. I want x to be the subject of the formula. That's it, princess, 100%. So I'm going to take 90 over to the other side, and I'm going to take theta over to the other side. So what I'm going to end up with is I'm going to get x is equal to 180 degrees minus 90 degrees minus theta, right? That tells me, therefore, that x is equal to 180 minus 90, that is 90 degrees, minus theta. And there we go. I can write this angle in terms of theta. This angle over here is going to be 90 minus theta. That's what that angle is going to equal to. Now, think of this exact idea and tell me what this angle down here is going to equal to. What is this angle over here going to be equal to, guys? Remember, this is alpha. This is alpha, the signal, the symbol over here. This is alpha. Okay, think about the same dimensions, guys. This is also a 90-degree angle, a 90-degree triangle, but it is also a triangle. So the interior angles of that triangle will also give me 180 degrees, right? So if this angle over here is equal to alpha, absolutely, Narisha, 100%. That means that this angle down here needs to equal 90 minus alpha. Okay, and it's just something I've picked up on, and I've marked enough papers to see that many of you don't quite understand how to configure the inside of a triangle to get what we're looking for. But this is something challenging. If we're not going to be able to get past this, some of the paper is going to be difficult already. So please bear this in mind. If you can, take a screenshot. It's quite an important concept. It does come up again. Okay. It comes up again. So take a screenshot, but this isn't actually what we're going to be talking about today. Today, we're actually going to be doing some calculator work. So give me a thumbs up in the chat. Does everybody have their scientific calculator ready? Everybody got the scientific calculator? Beautiful stuff. All right. First thing we're going to do, guys, is we're going to ensure that at the top of our calculator, so if you look at the very top of your calculator over here, there's a lot of numbers and letters going on at the very, very top of our calculator, right? We want to make sure that at the top, there is a D colored in. Okay, it's like it should be like this. Okay, I'm pretty sure I'm not doing it justice, but there should be a D at the very top. Like that. It's like a button that looks like that, and the D is kind of colored in. Like that. If not, then your calculator will have the R colored in, and we don't want that. Okay. Oh, sure, Tristan. So check on your phone. Sometimes your phone also has these functions. Okay, so your calculator on your phone, if you turn it sideways, it might give you a scientific calculator. So double check. I'm not sure, but we definitely do need a scientific calculator today. I'm sorry, my dude, but you'll be able to follow the rest of the lesson either way. Okay, it'll be okay. Don't stress about it. All right. Okay, so Emmanuel, have a look at the very top of your calculator. So we're looking at, see if you look at the scientific calculator, there's some writing right there at the very top there. Okay, we want to make sure that there is a tiny little D. I don't think I can zoom in anymore, otherwise it's just going to go blurry. We want to make sure that there's a D colored in, a D in its own little block at the very, very top there. Ooh, now I'm clicking things. Okay. Vukosi, are we okay? Yes, we want it in degrees mode. Yes, okay. So here's why, Narisha. When we find our answers, if this degrees thing isn't put in degrees, your calculator is not going to give you answers in degrees. If the R is put in, there is another way to measure angles, and it's called radians. Okay. And radians, we don't really use radians until we get to like first year university, or if you go to an IEB school and you do and you do AP maths, then you'll be able to use radians. But because your calculator can calculate in more than one type of angle measurement, we want to make sure that it's in degrees, because we calculate our angles in degrees, and that's why. Okay, so we don't want the radians part. We want to make sure that the D is colored in so that your calculator is in degrees mode. Okay, everyone good? Can I get started? All right, here's your first challenge, folks. Okay, I want us to answer these 5 questions. Okay, just using your calculator, just punch these into, good, yes, it's DEG. Yes, Vukosi, it should be DEG. All right, number 3 is a little tricky, but pop your favorite emoji in the chat when you're done with all 5 questions. We're just learning how to use our calculators is all. Okay. Ah, Shulani already knows how to do number 3, which is excellent. Okay. Yes, Tristan, it is. It is correct. Yeah, I told you sometimes your phone does work. Yeah, absolutely. So you can use your phone to find the answers. Yes, absolutely. All right, how are we doing, guys? All right, peeps. Okay, let's not give it too much time, otherwise we're gonna run out of time here. Okay, because we've still got quite a ways to go today. All right, let's start with the first one over here. Now, if you put sine 30 into your calculator, you're going to get 1/2 or 0,5. That works as well. All right, 2 cos 85 gives us 0, I'm just going to round off to 2 decimals, 0,17. Now, for number 3, right, normally what happens is if you put this into your calculator and you go sine, and then you click the squared button, what happens is your calculator does this. It goes sine, and then it opens that, and it goes squared, like that. Okay, so basically what that's telling us to do is you're just going to put the sine 50 in. So you're just going to do it normally. You're just going to go sine, and you're going to put in 50, and then you're going to close that, and then you're going to square that. Okay, so you're just going to go sine 50, and then close squared, and the answer you should get there is 0,59. Yes, the square goes outside the bracket, Vukosi. Okay. Okay, lovely. Oh, I don't know what I've done here now. Okay, so if we put tan 60 plus 15 in our calculator, we're going to get 2 plus root 3. Okay, that's the answer we would get there. And then for the last one, tan 60 plus tan 15 should give me 1. I think it is. Tan 60 plus tan 15 is 2, not 1. It's 2. Okay, the final answer we should get there is 2. All right, so easy enough. Nothing difficult here. We should know how to use our calculators. Learning how to use our scientific calculators is also part of the process here. Okay, because the maths does get a little bit more complicated. We must know how to use our calculators. All right, now what if we want to find the angle? Now, I want you guys to note very carefully over here that they have given us that sine of theta is equal to something. They've told us what the ratio is. So they've given us the answer that we would get. But the question that we're getting over here is determine the value of theta. And remember what we said theta is. What does theta actually represent? Who remembers? What does theta represent? Absolutely. Theta represents the angle. Right, it represents the angle. And whenever we want to find the angle, what do we need to do? We need to click what? And this is the part where my famous, yeah, that's it, Emmanuel, absolutely. We must click shift. We're going to shift angle. I love it. Oh, guys, I'm going to trend. I swear it. I swear it. I'm going to trend. We must shift angle, right? Okay, so on our calculators, this is exactly what we're going to do. Because we want the angle theta, we're going to say theta is equal to, and then we're going to click shift sign, and our calculator is going to do this. Sine to the -1, right? But again, this is not actually, we cannot call it, I'm not okay with calling it the inverse. I know your teachers would call it the inverse, but unfortunately the inverse of a half is 2. Like the inverse of a half is 2. It's not exactly the inverse. This is called arc sine. It's called arc sine. Okay, so arc sine will give us the angle. So arc sine of a half. Okay, we're going to close the bracket. Do not forget to close the bracket, because if you don't, your calculator sometimes will give you a math error and you're going to wonder, hi, well, what did I do? Close the bracket, click equals. Tell me, what does your calculator say? Theta is equal to what? Absolutely. Thank you, Emmanuel. But this is an angle. It's an angle. So 30 what? 30 degrees. Absolutely. 30 degrees. Okay. So we now know how to answer these questions. I want us to answer questions 2 and 3. Okay. I'm going to give everybody exactly 2 minutes because neither of those are difficult. In fact, let's give it 1 minute because you're just going to be punching these into your calculator. And then we'll chat about questions 4 and 5. All right. 1 minute starting now. Oh my gosh, Hulani's already done. Oh my word, like I'm just, oh my goodness. Sure. Sure, we'll go see. That's a very elaborate. Yes, absolutely, Tristan. That's it. And we're going to get to that in just a little bit. All right. Okay, this is quite the easy exercise, and you guys are pretty good at this. So this is great. Okay, so I know in order to find the angle theta, I'm going to click arc cos, which is shift cos. Get arc cos of 3/4. And this is going to give me, therefore, theta is equal to 41,41 degrees. Right. Same with this one over here. Theta is going to equal to arc tan, which is 10 to the minus 1 of 1. Therefore, theta is equal to 45 degrees. Right. So now in these two questions over here, I'm going to show, I want you guys to note that I don't just have tan theta. I don't just have cos theta. I have something in front of my sign. Okay. So these two things I never separate unless I click shift. So because I want the sine theta part on its own, in order for me to get rid of the 2, correct, yes, Emmanuel, we're going to divide both sides by 2 to get rid of that 2 over there. So divide by 2, divide by 2, so that those 2 can cancel. So what I'm going to get over here is I'm going to have sine of theta is equal to 2 divided by 2 will give me 1. And now I still want theta, so I have to go theta is equal to arc sine of 1. Therefore, theta is equal to, somebody give me an answer, 90 degrees. Beautifully done, Emmanuel. Good. All right, let's quickly do number 5. Somebody give me an answer for number 5. Theta is equal to, remember there's a 5 in front of my tan. So I need to make sure that there isn't a 5 in front of my tan theta. So I'm going to divide both sides by 5. Okay. I'm just going to ask for the final answer. Okay, divide by 5, divide by 5. Thank you very much, Theo. That's it. Theta will then equal 30,96. And I love how you guys remembered to write degrees. Beautifully done. All right. Okay. Thumbs up all around. Are we all okay with these two concepts? I don't think I've taught you guys anything new. So we're going to step it up a little bit, shall we? Let's step it up. Okay. Now, let's say, for instance, I give you a diagram, right? I give you guys a diagram. Here's my diagram. I'm going to tell you guys that this part over here is 30 degrees. And this part over here is 60 degrees. And there's definitely a 90-degree angle in there. All right. Okay. Now I say that this is equal to 1, this is equal to 2, and this is equal to √3. Okay. If I said to you guys that I wanted the cos of 60 degrees, I want you guys to give me the ratio of cos 60 degrees. Now, so, ka, toa is over there. Right. Now, I've got the whole drawing. They've given me everything I need in the drawing, and they want the ratio of cos 60. Now, there's nothing really written on this drawing that's going to help me out where I need to be helped out. So I definitely need to start thinking of step number one. What is step number one again? Step number one is what? Absolutely, Tulani. Yes, we must label. Okay. So if they just give us, and you're absolutely correct, Tristan, it is a half. If they just give us a drawing and they ask us for a ratio, first thing we must always do is label, because that's then going to inform what we get for an answer. Now, imagine my next answer or my next question. After cos of 60, my next question is, what is tan of 30 degrees? Now, C, that's going to be a little bit more complicated because now I've labeled in terms of the other. Okay, in this first question, I'm going to label in terms of 60 degrees. And then in the second question, tan of 30, I need to label in terms of 30 degrees. So it's always based off of where we need to be looking at our angle from. Okay, in the first question, I know that 60 is my reference angle. And if I label in terms of 60, this one becomes my adjacent, root 3 becomes the opposite, and 2, as Theo has pointed out, is the hypotenuse. Absolutely. Right, so if I want to find cos of 60, I know cos is ka, that is adjacent, over hypotenuse. My adjacent is 1 over the hypotenuse, which is 2. There we go. Cos of 60 is equal to 1 over 2. All right, now tan of 30 degrees is going to be completely different because my reference angle is now no longer 60. It is 30 degrees. So I now need to label according to my my reference angle. And you're correct, Emmanuel. Good. Now this side now is no longer my adjacent, my opposite side. This now becomes my adjacent. And that over there becomes my opposite side. And now because they want tan of 30, I know TOA, tan is opposite over adjacent. So the opposite side will be 1 over the adjacent, which is root 3. Okay, and there we go. So it's always important for us to label, because labeling is going to then inform how we answer the questions. Okay, I just want to double check with everyone. Give me a thumbs up if you're okay with what ma'am has just explained. Thumbs down if you'd like me to do another example, because I'm going to just throw you guys in the deep end just now. Okay, and I want to make sure that everybody's okay here. Are we all good, peeps? Beautiful stuff. All right, here's your next challenge. I'm going to give you guys 4 questions. Okay, do not... Narisha, I'm pretty sure you can. Mathematically speaking, absolutely you can swim. All right. Okay, remember step number 1. Always, always, always label, because labeling is going to inform how we do what we need to do here. All right. There's a little tip for you, Sokatoa. So I want you guys to go ahead and use our labeling technique to find me. Question 1 is looking for tan A. So A is our reference angle. Sine X, X is our reference angle. Cos A is our reference angle. And tan Z, Z is our reference angle. Pop your favorite emoji in the chat when you're ready. And then from here on, we're going to have to step it up a little bit more. Okay, because I feel like I'm not challenging you guys enough. This stuff seems way too easy for you guys. Sure, you guys are super duper fast. Yo, Kulani and Charlie, well done. Okay, we'll give everybody else 1 more minute and then we'll get started. Beautiful work, guys. Sure. All right, peeps, let's have a look at these. Okay, so let's start with tan of A. Now, these are a little bit tricky because I've kind of taken the the triangles and I've kind of flipped them around, but that doesn't change anything, guys. When we label, we just need to make sure that we're using the correct reference. Okay, so for tan of A, I can see that A is over here. So this 24 over here, this is my adjacent side. That 32 over there is my opposite. And 40 over here will obviously be the hypotenuse. So tan of A, I know tan is opposite over adjacent. So my opposite is 32 over adjacent, which is 24. Okay, I'm just going to simplify this fraction. I think it's best, guys, if the fraction is simplifiable, please go ahead and do that. But please leave it as a fraction. Don't do anything else funky with it. All right, so 32 and 24, 8 goes into both, so I can divide by 8. So 4 over 3 is the final answer that I actually get there. All right, over here, I know that X is my reference angle, so I'm going to label in terms of that. 20 is my adjacent side. 15 all the way over there, that is my opposite side. And 25 over here is my hypotenuse. They want this in terms of sine, and sine is opposite over hypotenuse. So opposite, which is 15, over hypotenuse, which is 25. And I'm going to just simplify the fraction. I can divide both the top and the bottom by 5. So that's going to give me 3 over 5. That's an answer. Divide by 5, divide by 5. Okay. For number 3 over here, I've got cos of A. So my reference angle is A. I'm going to label in terms of A. 30 over here is my adjacent side. 40 all the way on the other side is the opposite. And 50 is my hypotenuse. I want cos, and according to this cos is adjacent over hypotenuse. The adjacent is 30 over the hypotenuse, which is 50. And I can divide both the top and the bottom by 10. So that's going to give me 3 over 5 as a simplified fraction. Okay, over here, again, Z is my reference angle. 48 over here will be my adjacent side. 14 all the way on the other side, that is my opposite. And the one across from a 90-degree angle, that is my hypotenuse. Okay, and then I will get tan is opposite over adjacent. Opposite is 14 over adjacent, which is 48. And I can simplify that fraction, divide both the top and the bottom by 2, and that would give me 7 over 24. I can't divide any further because 7 is a is a prime number, so I can't go any further. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Tell me, how much did we get out of 4? I know that some of us didn't. If you didn't simplify your fractions, it's perfectly fine. You can give yourself 4 out of 4, even if you didn't simplify. Okay, I'm just being a little bit extra. But I knew this was going to be way too easy for you guys. That's why I was just like, you know what? You guys are way too good at this. You guys are way too good at this. Now, I can't just leave it here. I need to up the stakes a little bit more. Okay, we need to up the stakes a little bit more. Now, let's see what we have to do now. If I don't tell you which ratio to use. I'm just going to give you guys SOHCAHTOA over here. I'm just going to go so. Oh, that's ugly. Wait, let's try that again. SOHCAHTOA. Not those kinds of steaks. I'm sorry. Okay. All right. So here's question 5. And now if we look at question 5, nowhere in this question does it say solve for solve for tan of something or solve for cos of something. These questions are just going to say to us here, solve for x. Solve for x. And it doesn't really tell us what it is we need to do in order to get there. And now here comes Teacher Coco's 3-step plan that's going to ensure that we know exactly what it is we need to do in order to answer these kinds of questions. Now, step number 1 is never going to change. What is step number 1? For the millionth time, thank you, Theo. Step number 1 is always going to be to label. That's what we're always going to do. We're going to label. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to look at this question number 5, and I'm going to label based off of the angle I've been given. All right. So I've got the angle 54 degrees over here. So I'm going to label in terms of 54 degrees. 12 over here is going to be my adjacent side. X over here is going to be my opposite side. And the angle across from my 90-degree angle, this is the hypotenuse. Okay, that's step number 1. Always, always, always. Step number 1 is never going to change, guys. It's always labeled. Right. Our step number 2 is we are going to look at what I have versus what I want. Okay, and I'm going to explain in just a little bit. What I have versus what I want. Not quite, Emmanuel. Not quite. What I have is I've got a 54-degree angle. It's very important that we include the angle, Emmanuel. Okay, don't forget that. Right. I've got the 54-degree angle and I've got my adjacent side. Okay. And what I want is x. I want x, and x is my opposite side. Okay, that's step number 2. So we've done step number 1 and step number 2. Now, for step number 3, what we're going to do is we're going to use SOHCAHTOA to create an equation. Right? That's what we're going to do. Now, I'm going to look at what I've got here. Right? I've got adjacent and opposite. Between SOHCA and TOA and Kulani, I haven't even finished my sentence. Can you let me finish my sentence? Yes, between SOHCA and TOA, which one of these 3 is going to use adjacent and opposite? Absolutely, Kulani. It is tan. Good, it's TOA. So I'm going to write out my actual equation, guys. I'm going to go tan of theta is equal to opposite over adjacent. So now what this tells me to do now is I'm going to take exactly what I have and I'm going to replace each of those elements of tan theta is equal to opposite over adjacent. Now I'm going to get tan of theta is sitting in place of my angle. So I'm going to replace theta with 54 degrees. Tan of 54 degrees is equal to the opposite over here is x over the adjacent, which is 12, right? So now what I want to do is I want to solve for x. So I'm going to use a linear equation. As I would solve for a linear equation, I'm going to put this over 1, and then I'm going to cross multiply. I'm going to cross multiply, right? So 1 times x is just going to give us x, and then 12 times tan 54. So what I'm going to end up with is x is equal to 12 times tan of 54 degrees, right? And now we can solve for x. Therefore, x is equal to, somebody punch that into a calculator for me and find me an answer. Easy stuff, easy work. What do I get? Thank you very much. Absolutely. But Kulani, we cannot add degrees there. Is x a degree? Is it an angle or is it a side? Is it an angle or is it a side? It's a side, so we cannot put degrees there. Okay, only if we're looking for the angle do we then put degrees in. Okay. We okay with that? Cool, all right. Okay, can we do, let's see if you guys can keep up with me in the chat. Let's do number 6 together, and then I'll give you guys 7 and 8 to do on your own. All right, so let's start with step number 1. Step number 1 is to label. We're going to label, right? I'm going to label in terms of the angle I've been given. So my x this time over here, this is the adjacent side. That side over there where there's absolutely nothing, that is the opposite side. And the side across from a 90-degree angle, that is the hypotenuse. Okay, step number 1, done. We've labeled, it's lovely, everything is great. Step number 2 is the have versus want. What do I have? What do I have? I can see here, I've got my 58-degree angle, got 58 degrees, and I've also got the hypotenuse. I've got the hypotenuse, right? What do I want? I want x, and I know that x is the adjacent side. So if I follow SOHCAHTOA, okay, if I follow SOHCAHTOA, which one of those 3 is going to use the hypotenuse and the adjacent? Thank you, Fulani, as always, on point, without me even finishing the sentence, 100%. So I know for my equation, I'm going to go cos of theta is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. And then I'm just going to replace the things in my equation, right? I'm going to get cos 58 degrees is equal to adjacent, which is x, over hypotenuse, which is 18. And then I'm just going to put this over 1, and then I'm going to cross multiply. Cross multiply. 1 times x will just give me x is equal to 18 times cos of 58 degrees. All right. Punch that into a calculator and give me an answer, please, peeps. 9,54 is correct. Good. 9,54. All right. Let's do a quick check-in. Thumbs up, thumbs down. How are we feeling about these questions? Everybody okay? I think I may have moved a little fast. So if you're still feeling a little apprehensive, I'm happy to do the next example with you guys. But I feel like we just need to follow the steps. Okay. It's pretty much okay if we follow the steps. All good? All right. Here is your challenge. Questions 7 and 8. Take it away, guys. Pop your favorite emoji in the chat when you are done. Okay, question number 7 takes a little bit more of a detour, so we need to be a little careful about that one. All right. Oh my God. No, Narisha, no, 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 no. No, and you know what? I tried going vegan. It's not as easy as it sounds. Hey, I missed meat every day. Every day I was dreaming about a burger. Every day I would drive past like a KFC or a Steers and I would cry. I would die a little bit inside. So it's not that easy. You have to really want to do it. No, because it's not. It's not a good idea. Trust me, guys. Sometimes, yes, sometimes, mm-mm. Kulani, you are an absolute mathematical beast. I've never seen anybody just work through sums, just like, bang, 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 yo. Wow. Amazing, amazing, amazing. I'm blown away, dude. I know. She's a machine. She's a machine. One more minute. All right, that's time. Okay. So check along with me as we go along. Kulani, I'm gonna give you a job because I feel like you're very bored. Now, your step is to write, your job is to write for me the steps that we need to take in the chat as we go along. All right. So Kulani, let's ask this question. Question number one. What is step number one? What is step number one? Absolutely. Label 100%. So I'm going to start by labeling. This side over here is my adjacent side. 16 over there is the opposite, and x over there is our hypotenuse. Beautiful. Step number two, Fulani. What is step number two? Good. Have verse want. Beautiful. Okay, tell me, what do I have? Tell me what I have. Princess, not quite. I've got, let's have a look. Let's have a look again. They've given me the, good, Emmanuel, that's it. They've given me the angle and the opposite side. Good. That's the two things that they've given me. That's what I have. What do I want? Which side do I want? Good. That's it, Abu. Hello, Abu. Oh my goodness. I haven't heard from you the whole class. Hi. Hi, Abu. It's unlike you to be quiet. So like I'm distressed a little bit. Okay, that's fine. Good. All right. Look at that. Step number three, Hulani, don't cheat. Step number three. You've done step number one and step number two. Step number three is to look for a what? To look for the what are we looking for? The equation, yes, but the hypotenuse, absolutely. So which one am I going to use? I'm going to use sine. You're 100% correct. So I'm going to go sine of theta is equal to opposite over hypotenuse, right? And then I'm just going to replace the things where I need to, right? Sine of theta is my angle. So sine of 31 degrees is equal to opposite, which is 16 over a hypotenuse, which is x, right? What is my next step? What is my next step? After I've done that, good, Abu, absolutely. I must cross multiply, right? But when I cross multiply, I'm going to find that my x ends up with my sine 31. So I'm going to get x times sine 31 degrees is equal to 1 times 16 is 16. But now I want x on its own. So what do I need to do to that sine 31 to get it away? Correct, Abu, absolutely. I must divide by sine 31, and what I do on the one side, I'm going to do on the other side as well. All right, and those two will cancel out. Therefore, x is going to equal to 16 over sine of 31 degrees, which is equal to 31,06. Right. Beautiful work, team. Absolutely beautiful stuff. All right, let's look at this last one over here. Again, step number 1 is always to label. So over here, 14 becomes the adjacent side. It's closest to my angle. X becomes my opposite side. I did actually call you guys Avengers because you guys move. Imagine, look, like we're done. We're done already. I don't know how, but you guys just like bam, 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 bam. You get the job done, which is I love it. I love it. I really feel like Avengers is it's such a good name for you guys. Yeah, have versus want. I'm going to remember that. I'm going to remember that, Abu, and I'm going to put it in my next lesson because he's already decided that he's hung. Okay, no worries. I will in just a second, Emmanuel. I'll go back in just a second. Let me just quickly finish number 8, and then you and I can talk about 7. All right. Okay, so what do I have? I have my 60-degree angle, and I have my adjacent side. And what I want is x, which is the opposite side. Narisha, you could be whoever you want. You can be Tom Holland, absolutely. All right, step number 3 is to use an equation. Guys, help me out. Which equation am I going to use? Which one uses adjacent and opposite? Absolutely, thank you, Emmanuel, thank you, Kulani. So I'm going to use tan of theta is equal to opposite over adjacent. I'm going to substitute tan of 66 degrees is equal to opposite, which is x over adjacent, which is 14. All right, let me just clean that up. That's ugly. Okay. Now I've taken away a 66. All right, there we go. So I now have to, I'm going to put this over 1, and then I'm going to cross multiply. Cross multiply, cross multiply. So I'm going to get x is equal to 14 times tan of 66 degrees. Therefore, x is equal to, give me an answer, peeps. Thank you very much, as always, Fulani, 31,44. And we can't say degrees because it's not an angle, it is a side. All right, guys, how are we feeling? I know, she's just like, bam, bam, bam. Okay, give me a good, I've got this, ma'am. I think I'm on the right track. Need to slow down maybe a little bit. Ma'am, like help us out. I mean, I genuinely feel like you guys have got this just, which means grade 10 is going to be such a great year for you guys because, I've never seen people so focused, like taking care of, standing on business. Like, mwah, I love it, guys. Amazing. Sure. I'm so sorry, Theo, because it's the holidays, we don't actually have a quiz link for this week, okay? So we're going to have a double quiz. So next week quiz is going to be twice as long, okay? I think so, Emmanuel. I have such high hopes for the class of 2026. I feel like you guys are like focused, you're locked in. Even my kids at my school, right? Like you guys are locked in, man. You guys are going to show people flames. I feel it. It's like something in my bones just tells me that when your guys' matric results come out, I'm here for it. I'm here for it, guys. I'm here for it. You guys are going to do the most. I absolutely believe. I have every faith in you guys. But thank you so much for joining me. Can I leave you guys with a challenge? I'm going to leave you guys with a challenge. That is next week's work. Okay. Here is a challenge for you guys. Okay. You can screenshot this quickly